So welcome back to another video. I'm Vic, your host, and in this one we're gonna take a look at some players you can pick up for your dream team in eFootball. And we're gonna take a look at one specific player which I picked up before my previous live stream, and it is David Alaba, and I'm gonna explain why I've picked him up and why I think he's worth the price of 180k GPs. So let's start with the reason I picked up David Alaba. I really wanted a solid two-way left back, and most modern left backs in the game are very good offensively and they are lacking defensively. And when you're going to play dream team, you need to shore up as much as you can your defense, and your wide fullbacks, your wide defenders are going to be a problem when it comes to the defense, because most players, even the star fullbacks, are not that good defensively. But if you've played PES in the last couple of years, you know that David Alaba is a very versatile player. Even though his primary position is center back, he can play left back as well. So let's take a look at him. So you can see on this position chart right there, my face is covering it, so I'm gonna hide my face for a little bit just so you can see it. So basically you can see David Alaba, he can play center back, left midfield, CDM and CMF. So he can play in the midfield, and you can also play on the left wide positions, both midfield and defense. And that's the key thing, because even though you're going to use him as a primary left back, at least I'm using him as my left back, he will provide both offense and defense. If you compare his defensive attributes to a lot of like the top left backs in the game, you will see David Alaba is superior in almost every defensive attribute. And in addition to that, he is pretty quick. He's not the quickest left back. He won't be like Alphonso Davies, who is super quick, but David Alaba has a lot of other skills that makes him more valuable. So even though I'm using David Alaba as my primary left back, I can slot him into the central defense and the midfield if I need it. But primarily he's gonna play left back. And another key thing about this guy, he can take set pieces, he has very good set piece attributes, and he has also very good passing skills. He has 78 low pass, 79 lofted pass, and you can train him up to improve on those statistics. And at the moment, he also has an A rating, A conditioning, so he's gonna give that extra to you in at least up until the next update. He's gonna be super useful. Another thing I want to point out is his player skills. So if you're familiar with PES, you know player skills are very useful, very important for you to be able to get the most out of your gameplay. And the thing about David Alaba, he has that killer left foot. He has a lot of passing skills, which is very useful if you want to play that quick one-touch pass out from the back that can allow you to go on the break quicker. And with a player like David Alaba, you can hit those long passes with precision and with confidence because he has so good passing stats. So worth mentioning here, obviously the one-touch pass, very useful. He also has through passing and weighted pass, which is very useful if you're able to hit those long through balls over the top. You can also hit regular through balls on the ground with accuracy with David Alaba, and he also has pinpoint crossing. If you want to do some crossing with precision from the left wing, depending on the way you play, he will be able to overlap and you will be able to do a lot of crossing with him. So in addition to these offensive skills, he also has interception, sliding tackle, which I think are useful for a left back that can contribute both ways. And I think if you pick up David Alaba and you use him at left back, you will have a significant edge versus a lot of other players. Of course, it depends on the rest of your team, and I wouldn't prioritize getting David Alaba if you have a limited amount of GPs. But if you want to have like a really solid left back and you have some GPs to spare, and you feel like your left back is a little bit lacking defensively, I definitely think you should consider picking him up. And one thing worth noting, because his primary position is center back, he won't show up if you filter by left back position in the standard player list, so that is important to take notice of. And let's compare David Alaba to some left backs, some other left backs that you might think about picking up. The most expensive left back is Andrew Robertson from Liverpool. He actually costs the same as David Alaba. Let's take a look at him. So Robertson, offensive fullback, he can play left back and left midfield, and that's it. You can see his defensive attributes are not on the level of David Alaba. The speed is about the same, and he has also a little bit inferior low pass, but I think it looks like Robertson has a little bit higher lofted pass. I mean, there's no real reason to pick up Robertson if you can pick up Alaba instead. It makes no sense getting Robertson instead of David Alaba, considering all the things I already mentioned about David Alaba, and also considering they cost the same. And obviously there are other like value acquisitions you could do at left back if you have lesser GPs. I won't go into specifics right here about that, but I mean, another player you also can compare Alaba to is Luis Hernandez right here, who is costing 170k. And this is also a guy who can play left back and in the center defense. But if you compare these two guys and consider their price, there's no real reason to pick up Hernandez. You want to pick up David Alaba, because Alaba only costs 10k more than Hernandez, and Hernandez is a little bit better defensively, of course. He is a defensive fullback after all. The speed and acceleration, it's a little bit slower actually than David Alaba, and he also has inferior passing stats. So the more I think about it, the more I'm convinced that David Alaba is maybe not a bargain at 180, but it makes a lot of sense to pick him up if you're considering going for a player like Robertson. There's no real reason to go for Robertson. So what do you think about David Alaba? Let me know in the comments. Which left back are you currently using on your team? And why are you using it? I want to know. Let me know in the comments. And thanks so much for watching. I will see you guys in the next one. Stay safe.